Today I'd like to discuss loneliness. Loneliness is such a universal phenomenon that almost everyone who has ever lived has experienced it at some point in their lives or is currently experiencing it. What's interesting is that the stress that causes this contact mushroom actually makes the sufferer realize that his or her need that doesn't affect it is the need for social contact with other people, but instead chooses to isolate themselves more and more and shut themselves off from social contact, because contact in a vulnerable social environment makes us rejected by others, disliked by others, and feels alone. The first point to make is that loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. Loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. Even in the most extreme cases, people who suffer from loneliness, particularly chronic loneliness, experience loneliness. Even if they are married or in a serious long-term romantic relationship dating, they are not immune to loneliness. According to data from research conducted in the United States, 46% of Americans, or nearly 1 in every 2 people, are feeling or have ever felt lonely in their lives. Most people are lonely on a regular basis, which means they are lonely at some point in their lives. So, how about you? Are you lonely? Are you okay? Loneliness is a completely subjective experience, which means that if you feel lonely, you are lonely. Despite having many friends, your family is very harmonious, and you have a very perfect life partner. However, if you're lonely, you're lonely. That is why you must stop talking to lonely people in order to tell them. You should still have a harmonious family. You are still fortunate to have close friends. Why do you always say you're lonely? So what do you think of me all this time? However, I'm here for you. Why can't you say that? Because it makes them feel even worse about their pain. Makes them feel inferior, unwelcome, and stupid. So, what you need to know about loneliness is that the brain of a lonely person differs from the brain of a happy person. In the previous video, I mentioned the reptile brain, which is the deepest part of the brain. In general, the reptile brain regulates things that are automatic in us. Our reptile brain controls everything, including breathing, blinking, and the heart, which pumps blood throughout the body. Our reptilian brain is the brain that ensures our survival in this world. We don't die because of what? We don't die because of what? Because of the dangers that exist, the extreme weather, or because of loneliness or isolation. We're going back in time to when Homo sapiens was still the hunter gender, 50,000 years ago. Where the people were grouped in those ancient times in the Stone Age. Everyone has a job. There are those who hunt, those who look after the food, those who look after the children, and women who serve as guards. Then there's ostracism, which is one of the most lethal punishments our cribs can inflict on us. When someone is suspected of being a traitor, stealing food, or not being alert when guarding the night, they are ostracized. When others sleep, those who guard this sleep will be punished, and the most painful and severe punishment is exile, not the death penalty. A herd that is constantly moving from one location to another, alienating one person who deviates from the norm, breaks the rules, the herd is ostracism. The human brain is terrified of exile because exile meant death in the days of our forefathers. Exiled from our herd means we're going to die, because of wild animals, saber-tooths, mammoths, tigers, and extreme weather. We lived from one cave to the next back then because we didn't have a house or a roof. What if we live alone? We will be extremely vulnerable to wild animal attacks. Humans are incapable of working alone, hunting alone, cooking alone, or caring for their own children. Without a single change from the genes to us. Until now, the human brain is very sensitive to isolation from being shunned by other people. It means if you really feel alone, your brain will give a signal. The reptile brain will give a signal that we are in danger. We must not be alone, we are in danger. The reptilian brain that serves as the survival instinct of humans gives signals to the brain's limbic system. The brain's limbic system translates into hormones that make us stressful. Adrenaline hormone cortisol, so that we focus on the cause we feel this danger, whether it is loneliness. So loneliness is like the condition of our biological body, like we are hungry. When we are hungry, our brain signals that we need food. However, if we are lonely, our brain sends us a signal that we require social contact. As a result, when we are lonely, our brain interprets social signals such as our friends' gestures, our family's movements, or anyone with whom we come into contact. Our lonely brain interprets everything that it perceives as potentially dangerous. Why? Because we already feel threatened by being disliked by others, rejected, abandoned, and exiled. As a result, we will experience self-fulfilling prophecy or predictions that come true as a result of our own thoughts. Consider it like this: you were a victim of bullying when you were in high school. Have you ever been publicly humiliated in front of your friends? It terrifies you around other people. As a result, you isolate yourself from others more and more in order to protect yourself from being humiliated by others. Finally, you don't hang out with your friends, you try to avoid them because you know it's not safe outside. The result is that you are forced to interact with other people. You already believe that other people will dislike you and will make fun of you behind your back. Your biological output, your biological reaction, the reaction of your body that is already afraid, suspicious from the start, eventually causes you to emit negative signals when communicating with others. For example, when speaking to others, your voice is lower than it should be, your posture is stooped, and you stammer because you are afraid of being judged first. As a result, others perceive you as someone who is unwilling to converse with him. It appears that he is not comfortable with my conversation. Finally, that person has left your life. Then you are more convinced that no one else likes me, that everyone else is selfish, that no one thinks of me. The various consequences cause you to become increasingly closed off and fearful when communicating with others, gradually isolating you and making you feel lonely. So, what are our options? First and foremost, technology cannot replace genuine social interaction. Instagram, WhatsApp, and video calls cannot replace social touch, nor can social contact, joking and laughing together. So, if you are a lonely person, you should be aware that some of your friends are oversharing on something that is a little bit of an Instastory update. Little by little he posts selfies, little by little he posts posts. Know that the person most likely does not require it. Perhaps what he requires is a response from someone else, such as when someone posts their own photo, text, or whatever. He desires social contact with other people. Other people who like the post, how many likes, and how many comments, because they believe it can replace our need for social needs. What is the truth? Not. Whatever you do on social media seems to satisfy your social needs. That is why many artists, celebrities, and celebrams finally admit that they are often lonely. The number of their fans and the amount of money they have do not alleviate their loneliness. After realizing that, the second thing we can do is increase our social contacts for real. It doesn't have to be friends, family, or anyone in your immediate vicinity. People as haphazard as vegetable vendors in front of your house. When you talk to them, you ask how they are, how their family is, how many children they have, and communication with random people can gradually alleviate feelings of loneliness. Because your brain understands that what he requires is communication between people who are genuine and do not expect anything in return. Then you can contact old friends, friends who haven't spoken to you in a long time, and ask how they're doing, if you want to call them, if you can video call them, and how they're doing. You are afraid of being rejected, you are very self-conscious, you are very aware and introspective, so shift your focus away from yourself. You shift the focus to someone else, inquire how he is, and what he is up to. Now shift your attention to your friends, family, and everyone else except yourself. Because it is the only dialogue that truly establishes emotional bonds from there. And focusing on others will relieve the pressure and fear we feel about being judged, being laughed at, and so on. So, friends, if you are lonely, it is a very natural response for you and for every human being. Everyone has been through it, so the only thing you can do is stop feeling ashamed and stop thinking there's something wrong with you because it's neutral and it's okay to feel lonely. Talk to your friends and communicate with them. Because that is what will satisfy your social hunger. I hope that after watching this, we don't forget to share it with our friends and then chat with them to see how they're doing. I hope you found this information useful. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you again soon.